Hi, this is again Volleyball Explained podcast about the Italian League. We were not in that lineup for a long time, but today with Ronnie and Nicola, we'll talk about what happened in the regular season in Italy in the Superlega and what will happen actually as of today. As of today, in terms of publication of this podcast, of course, we'll have four great games in the quarterfinals in Italy. But first thing first, and of course, we'll start with the ranking from the regular season. And my first question to you guys is: what are your overall comments about what happened? And you are totally free to comment to whatever topic you want to do it. So let's start with Ronnie. Okay, let's start with Ronnie.
Hey guys, well, glad to be back after a long time period of absence. And yeah, like we discussed in the first podcast of this season, which team will not go into the playoffs, which team will go through. Catania, of course, ended up to be in the lowest ranking team. They will not play the Serie A1 next season. And of course, Isterna, Padova, and Taranto went out of the play-on contention. The next teams were pretty much the favorites to make it into the playoff. Trentino played a good regular season till more or less the end, with losses against Perugia, of course, and Padova, but this last game didn't mean anything. And pretty much the other secondary, supporter cast, Piacenza, Civitanova, usual suspect in the postseason, Monza, Milano, of course, and Verona. And Modena, which I have to say, one of the worst Modena team in Asia. The society of led by Gabbana, Sartoretti and company will have to think pretty much what they want of this team in the pretty much in the next season, of course, because this is almost ended. But yeah, overall have been pretty normal. In some matches, we had upset, which is good. Lower teams have stepped up. Monza, of course, one of them. Milano, sometimes Verona. We can see the points pretty much close from the third place to the seventh place. So there are some parity in Italian league right now.
Nicola, I would ask something specific, but we'll talk that, of course, later, also taking into account that Modena will play the first team, that is Trentino. But what happened with Modena? Because we have expected that they will have a better season. They have Bruno, they have Juan Torrena, Saposhkov, Davis Kiba. Okay, some of these players, like also Stankovic, are aging, but still they are, in terms of individuals, they are a better team than they looked in the regular season.
Nicola just went off.
Yeah,
I'm off.
sorry.
No, now.
No, Nicole. Probably I. Okay, let's go.
I mean,
Yeah. Did you hear what I asked you, or?
yeah, completely.
Okay.
So I was saying that if you think that you will be watching volleyball for the past 10 seasons, you look at these standings. It's in Modena, 25 points behind the first two position. That wouldn't be predictable at the beginning of the season, but they've been through a lot of things, especially when it comes down to the club, to the management, which doesn't seem to have a clear path to follow. in the past 3-4 years. But this year they basically, how can I say, everything that didn't work didn't work at the same time. They also changed the coach. They sacked Petrella and get Giuliani. But on the other end, they had players that underperformed in a, let's go, terrific way. I'm talking about Shaposhko. That was basically his first time when he had to show what kind of player is he in a big team. And for me, it's probably one of the biggest delusion in the disappointment in the Superlega this year. When it comes down to Wantorena, Stankovic, and we all know that their identity card will have some impact on the team, that you couldn't expect them to play every game. But there's one thing that is even more surprising. By the end of the regular season, Modena basically won. Let me check. Every tiebreak they played. So they're basically in the playoff because they won 6 tiebreak out of 6. There's this 4-point gap. Sorry, between them and Cisterna. Less on the 5th set they were able to win. Otherwise, they would even be in the playoff. If you would ask me 5 days ago how the quarterfinal with Trento would have ended, it was, to me, a straight game quarterfinal for Trento. But now it'd be interesting for you to see. Probably disappointing for me to see.
Yeah, we'll talk about Trento a little bit later, but one more question this time to Ronnie for Modena. What happened with Petrella? Was it actually something that was written in advance to happen? Actually, because this is a head coach without no experience, only experience as assistant coach. And secondly, he's younger than, I think, 3 of the players. He's younger than Bruno, than Hontorena, and Stankovic. Do you believe it's possible for such a relationship to work where the head coach has less experience than 3 the players, and we know how of a players they are in terms of mentality, temperament, and even passion, like Bruno, they like to command, I would say.
Sorry, yeah. Well, Bruno lived one of the most controversies in one of those stints in Modena, when he and other players sacked Stoichev. That was big. He's known from being a resolutive, like demanding person. Of course, we didn't have all the details, but Wantorena also was involved in the Giorgi sacked in LUBE, he and others. So yeah, especially if you are not a former player like Petrella, those guys will go after you if you have the slightest mistake, because they think this new coach with no experience almost have like a higher figure, and yeah, that's for me when the results didn't came out, because for real, some of the key members of this team are way past their prime, like Stankovic, the Bruno himself, and of course the legendary Wantorena. They have to sacrifice someone, and in this case they always blame the coach. It was a challenge. Maybe he knew before taking this job that if didn't go as expected, he could be out before the season over. But on the other hand, if this came true, he will have been seen like some kind of genius. And life is a matter of risk. You take it or you leave it. Something similar happened to Don't recall his name, the former coach of Piacenza last year, when
Botti.
Massimo Boddi. He won the Italian Cup, and he thought he was the chosen one, and he ended being not sacked, but they wanted someone more with more experience. Which for me, I don't know if that helped at all, but doing the current state of Piacenza. But yeah, very very bad for him. I hope that someone give him a, a shot, because we need new guys with bright ideas, with new ideas, of course, and not everything with experience is good. I will mention again Anastasia. So yeah, that's my point of view. Maybe Nicola will add something, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think the
Just-
mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. But just to mention something, Massimo Botti is now head coach of a Polish team,
Look, Lublin.
Yeah.
Lublin, and they played semi-final in the Polish Cup. So they're performing pretty good also in the Polish league. So he's a good coach, that's for sure.
I just want to add, I completely agree with Ronnie, but the mistake this was at the beginning for the society. For the club, they had a 3 years contract to Petrella, and when the things, as it probably could have been expected, getting tough, they decided to split with him and to keep the team. Let's see, the score of player that want to be Modena in a couple of years for sure. Bruno, Stankovic, Wantorenia, all the old guys, and even the young ones, probably some of them won't be there. So if you're not wanting to side with your coach, with your choice for, I mean, more than 8 months, I didn't know why they have to make him sign a 3 years contract. That was something that no one could explain here in Italy. So, and when they sacked him, we were like, really? I mean, the first time is in a tough spot, and you get rid of him. That's something pretty uncommon.
Yeah, that's another proof for the saying that actually it's much easier to change the coach than to change the whole team. And when it comes to Bruno, Juan Torrena, Stankovic, we don't need to repeat their names again. Of course, it's much easier to do that than to. And if somebody told me 5 years ago that in one club season, a head coach from Italy will be coaching a Bulgarian team and an Italian team, and that's Modena in one season, I will be laughing a lot. But still, that happens. But we are not here to talk about Heber Pazardzic today. We are here to talk about the Italian league, and just naturally, I would say that it's appropriate to talk about the first quarterfinal between the winner of the regular season, Trento, and Modena, because we talked about Modena probably 10 minutes now. So, Nicola, could you please explain what is exactly the situation with Riccardo SBERTOLI and his injury?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that his injury will mean that season for Trento will be trophyless, because he was having probably the best season of his career so far, handling Trento's game plan basically at his top for the entire game. And unfortunately, he broke his fifth finger of the end in the quarterfinal, in the second leg of the quarterfinal against Berlin in Champions League. He had to go through surgery, and it will have 1 month before he could be fully recovered, and probably even more when it comes down to touching the ball once again. The situation now is not bright for Trento, because his backup, Alessandro Acquarone, never played in the Superlega before this season, never had a playoff experience or any kind of high level experience with games that are on the line. Actually, its first ever start in Superlega was the last game against Padova, but that's a meaningless game, both for the points and the fact that Trento didn't line up a single starting member of the team, except for Aquarone itself, that is a forced starting member, let's call like that. And now with this French guy that come for I think basically for the training sessions and maybe some little time on the court, is actually someone that wouldn't. I hope it will, but I don't think they would carry on with Trento season too long, which is a pity because they had a terrific regular season. They lost just 3 games, 2 of them in the last 2 game days when they were already 100% positive of the first place at the end of the regular season. So that could have been a very, very good season, both in the Champions League and in the Superlega. So far, my expectations are not so high. I would be fine with them going through the semifinal in the playoff, but I'm pissed. Let's say it clear. That could have been a great season. Actually, something that won't be remembered.
I have several questions. Firstly, this Matteo Garcia guy, Trento were able to register a new player due to the injury, right?
Yeah, and there are some limitations. They couldn't sign a player who had previously played in the Italian competition this year.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't sign a player who previously played in the European competition, or they could have done it, but they couldn't not line up Garcia for the Champions League against LUBE, and they couldn't have played some players from outside the European Union because there were not enough time to have all the paper ready for the next coming games. So let's say they had been forced to look for that kind of profile, and I think that was the best that was on the market, because we also have to take in account that the other team are still fighting for titles in under championships too. So I don't think that any team would have a chance to win a trophy would let this starting setter go to any other team. So that's what the situation was. And
I was thinking about making a joke about is Trento able to sail or to swim with Aquarone? But do you believe that Garcia will play or Aquarone will play?
No, I think Aquarone will play. In the end, he spent the entire season with the players. Now that also Riklivki has some physical problems, I don't know whether the starting diagonal will be Aquarone Nelli, more likely than Aquarone Riklivki. And Aquarone has played in the, let's say, support team in the training session with Nelli all season long. So probably this would be a better chance to make the Italian starts. But I hope that the 2 outside hitters, Lavia and Micheletto, will cover the absence for SBERTOLI at least in the quarterfinals. Then if Trento will proceed to the semifinal, we'll find someone between LUBE and Monza. Then I don't think them going through the final.
Ronnie, what do you think? Do you believe that the Trento is able to without SBERTOLI doing anything more than a semi-final, let's say? And do you believe that Modena can actually use this lack of SBERTOLI and surprise all of us? I don't know.
Well, Modena can for sure win a game. I don't know the entire series. Of course, knowing that SBERTOLI won't be there and Camille also, they can somehow play games that they didn't play in the regular season, because this is when things get heat up. This is when all matters. For sure will be interesting series. But the thing with Trentino is that they have the somehow the easier route to the championship final, because Lube also didn't have a good season, despite Nicola improvement, despite the Checo, something like that. Who knows? Maybe they will, or maybe they have to play the 5 games in order to see something. But this is a huge blow to the organization, being the most regular team in the first half of the season, and now this we are being like seeing too much finger injuries along the other leagues. For example, Sligua, Lucas Satkan from Brazil, of course, and many others. What Nikolov?
Yeah, the second,
the brother.
Oh, of course, yes, and many others, like this Polish middle blocker who also play in the national team, the Jakub Kochanowski, of course. He also has his finger broke. So yeah, a huge recovery, but this was a necessary move from Trentino because they need someone to have in the practice. You need to have a second setter, despite what people say. I mentioned in some other place that SBERTOLI now have to take care of himself and see if he can go to Paris. And someone say, yeah, but in Paris we have Gianelli. Yeah, of course you have Gianelli, but who will be your second to practice and keep the level of the team high in order to your main roster can practice?
Porro. Yeah.
For me, he's too young, but who knows? Maybe he can step up. For sure, he will be called in the first leg of the VNL again, maybe in the second one, and will be very, very interesting who will be now the second setter of Italy this summer. But yeah.
But the funny part is that if you put a photo of Sbertoli and a photo of Paolo Porro, you would say that he's his father, and actually it's just three years of age difference. So it's I would appreciate that. Okay, Pro is inexperienced in national level, but their age difference is only 3 years, so it's not that big of a difference. Okay, let's go to the match that will determine the opponent of Trento and Modena in the semifinals. Like Nicola said, Civitanova and Monza. That clash from 4th to 7th place was actually decided in the very last minute with the win of Milano, with the win of Civitanova over Verona, and Monza beating Cisterna. So each of these teams could finish 7th, could finish 4th, and that is very significant in terms of the opponents in the quarterfinals. But these teams played also in the quarterfinals of the Cup, and Monza prevailed. But would you say that now the shape of Lube looks better than what Monza is doing? Let's say it in this way.
Ronnie, Lube is your topic, so get it.
Well, Lube have been struggling all this season with the foreign limits, especially because Blengini decide that Nicola is the starting foreigner in the outside hitting position, but due to his age and sometimes lack of a passing ability, it had been, smoothly as everyone can think of, which is normal, of course. Nikolov, he's only 20 years old, 21, something like that.
20, still
But
20.
on the other hand, Jan hasn't been the great difference either. So sometimes he had to rely on Botolo, which is the Lanza of our times. Maybe not. Maybe it's other player. But the thing is that this Lube, when they play good, they almost 80 or 90% they will win. They had an excellent series against Halbank in the Champions League. They were dominant almost the entire series. But one thing is Champions League, when you can use every foreign you have in your roster, and here in Italy you have to manage better your team. For me, the weakest part of this Lube, besides of course the problem with the foreigner, has been the middle blocker. Because Diamantini is not the guy that you trust more, and Ansani has dealing with the trauma of being almost finished because of his physical problems. Of course, year after years, we see a Luciano De Checo more erratic than the previous year. There are rumors that they want to terminate the contract. Maybe De Checo will be a Modena player next year. Who knows? But very very difficult to predict what will going on with this Lube from now on. They have a very good shot now that SBERTOLI is out, and Rilishki will come back for sure, but not that fast. Maybe he will start in the next round. Who knows? But I think Lube chances are higher in Champions League than in Serie A because of the games that they have to play. Of course, I want that Lube goes through more than Monza. This is like because Monza is full of Canadians, and I don't like Canadians winning things. But which of course Monza is other team that has surprised everyone. They went really far in European competition. They didn't manage to beat Project Varsovia, but yeah, very very good season this year for Monza. I think the main goal is try to be in Champions League next season, but seeing that the entire team will go for the 2024-2025 season, I don't know. Maybe they will see what with the Lube first, and then Trentino Modena step by step. It's a team like that, very well managed, and we'll see if injury doesn't affect it. We can be in a series of 4, maybe 5 games.
For me, Alex Nikolov is making a better season than the last one. This is normal. He's more experienced, and he's a better player now. Okay, he's not the best receiver for sure. That's a fact. But I would say I would make a step forward further, and I would say that Alex Nikolov as a player, as an individual, is at least one of the reasons for Kiko Blengini actually to decide to take over the Bulgarian national team without having the possibility to be a coach in Italy, or at least from what I know as of today. For me, Lube are the favorites. They're in the better shape now. This doesn't mean anything, but in in 3 out of 5 series. I would say that LUBE are the favorites. They have also the home advantage. So I would say that LUBE will prevail in this clash. But if Monza shows what they showed in the cup, it could be another thing. Nicola, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys and think that LUBE has the upper end in this matchup. We also have to be a little bit honest. Well, in the Italian Cup, the stars aligns for Monza both in the quarterfinal and especially in the semifinal, where Trento was basically winning it. Then they throw away the fourth set and they completely black out in the fifth one. And as concerned the Challenge Cup, where they reached the final against the Polish team, but they haven't played any decent team along the process. With all the respect to the other league, the level of the Italian and the Polish league are so high if you compare with the others that they're basically regular games against other national.
Oh, come on, Nicola. They play at Panathinaikos with your body recover. Come on, that's a decent.
Yeah.
They played three Balkan teams in the last 3 rounds with Panathinaikos, with Levski, Sofia, and Galatasaray.
No, of course, I don't want to be disrespectful, but we have to consider the level of the game. They've been playing all season long. That everything could happen in the European Cups, and I don't want to be such an entitled guy when it comes down to the Italian league. But as you pointed out, the two Canadians are pretty much in shape in this past game. Both lucky, especially Mark is playing at a very high level lately, and that could be one of the key, because I thought since the beginning of the season that the group of outside hitters in Monza is maybe one of the most balanced of the entire Super League, with Lobke, Mar, and Takahashi. And if one of them is not going the way they're expected, they could subs the other in, and they will not have a huge impact, let's say, on the level of the team. They will be pretty much the same level, which is something that we cannot say about LUBE, as you pointed out. If you can't line up Jant and Nicola as in the Champions League they used to do, you have to play Mattia Bottolo, which is currently a good player, but not, in my opinion, at least at the time, at the same level the other two.
Next Lance.
What?
Next Lance.
Yeah, but next Lance, I don't know. It will hope for, because Lance had pretty much a good palmarès despite
jokes aside, because I don't want any former player, if they watch this in their free time, think that we are making jokes about them. Because I only say that because Bottolo, Recine are those type of players that are like support to race passing, not very well known for his offensive part, but continue, please.
Guys, I will be very harsh, but I'm not sure, but probably we forced Luca Vettori to retire.
that was on us.
Yeah.
Well, at least we achieved something good with this podcast.
Because we were that harsh with him that he retired after the last season, I think. Not the last season, the last season, 22-23 was the last season he played.
Couple of seasons too late, if you're asking me, but
yeah. But that, so just aside, but that he was our traditional victim in the podcast 2-3 years ago. Okay, let's go to another pair of quarterfinal. That looks a little bit okay. Let's say the other way around, with a big favorite, and that's Perugia Verona. Perugia, are not showing the best they can, I would say. They were without Wilfredo alone a long time. They were playing with Plotnitsky and Semenyuk, and they had ups and they had downs. Now, I would say that they are very big favorites, but probably I want this more than I reasonably say this can happen. But I am not sure if Verona is lost totally. Verona played two very bad games with Milano and LUBE, and that's the reason why they finished 7th and not 4th. But if Verona shows what they showed in this series of 9 wins out of 10 matches and only one defeat to Trento, I would say they can actually counter what Perugia can do. What do you think, Nicola?
Well, Verona actually in this streak beat every other team in the league but Trento.
Yeah,
it won
exactly.
11 out, 10 out of 11.
10 out of 11. 10 out of 11. Yeah, not 9.
So I think that if they get in a good mood, they could give some scratches to the head of Perugia. But now that Perugia could alternate the 3 outside hitters, something that hadn't been possible all season long due to Wilfredo Leon injury, that it will be very difficult to Verona. And it's a little bit, let's say, sad, because every season it looked like the good one for Verona to go finally into a semi-final on the playoff Scudetto. They've seen so many teams reaching the semi-final in the past years, other than the big 4, Piacenza, Milano. So they could have been its years, but the last 2 losses were, I wouldn't say devastating, but just for the ranking. If you consider that in the last game day, as you say, Bogdan, the chances they could have ended the 4th or 7th with a win, they lost badly to Civitanova. But I don't think that Rado was expecting them to have the how can I say, the fact that they will play on home court, the home court advantage through the series. So they were already prepared to play the most of the games on the road. But the attacking trio is working. Keita, since his return, is getting better and better and better. I think that maybe it's something that's easy to say, but most of the chances for Verona to go through the round, or at least to play till the 5th game, will be on the shoulder of Rok Mozic. He has to carry the team in this quarterfinal, and he has to take a lot of responsibility on his own to try to upset what it seems to be the most unbalanced of the 4 quarterfinals.
Ronnie?
Yeah, well, Perugia is on the redeem path, on the redeem path after being unsuccessful, especially last year with the team that they had. But now, with the addition of Leon, of course, Bentara playing a really good level, it's very hard to Verona think that they can even win a game. Rok Mosic has been so far so good as always, but the support cast is very 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 shaky, if you ask me. With lows and highs, and Verona always aim to make into the playoffs, and they make it always, which is good. This wasn't, I think, years ago, but yeah, with the young developed strategy, they of course, strategy and the help of players like Romosic, for example, they had been capable of reach every year the playoff. But of course, this is not enough to defeat let's say a group of men, because not everybody in Verona shall be considered, a fully grown man. But Perugia is, I think, is ready. This is the year that they can say finally. The other teams have their own problems. We have, of course, ours, but they are not so bad. I received news that Leon isn't fully recovered yet. He have a difference of muscle between his two legs due to the time he couldn't do anything. And yeah, the desire of his inner circle is that the season stop as soon as possible, and that he rests. But he's making too much to be left out of the equation. If this Perugia want to conquer the Italian league, at some point Leon will have to enter the court. And this season, of course, we had seen the physical problems with Plotiski, because he had to play in the summer, and then without resting enough the entire season due a Leon problem. Hopefully Semenyo has step up. Janelli have corrected some mistake. It helps that this team is not in the Champions League right now, because they only have to focus in Serie A. Of course, Chirchi once said that he wants to be the conqueror from Lisbon to Vladivostok, but he will have to wait at least another year, which of course are rumors that Leon finally will end his career in Italy and will move on, maybe to Poland, and Perugia will have a different roster next season. So let's see what happens. But from now, sorry, Perugia high favorite 3-0, nothing to discuss. Is if they give them a game, which I don't think, will be to rest some of the player and try to win it at home, but nothing more.
Okay, let's say about the rumors that the rumors say that Ishikawa will play in Perugia, which is interesting to know. And Leon is linked to Zaxa. That's another interesting thing. But okay, let's go to the last match, and the last match is I would say the most unpredictable one, and this is Piacenza Milano. Piacenza and Milano played an unbelievable game in the quarterfinals of the Cup. It was a game that finished, correct me, 21-19, I would say. In the tiebreak, amazing game, incredible, fantastic, really. I watched that
2022.
match. I was here just watching in the TV, and I was in the last 10 rallies. I was staying up front, so I was not sitting or laying in the bed or whatever. It was that dramatic. But if you ask me now, who will win? I can't say. I mean, both teams can do it in three. Okay, probably not going 23 games. For me, probably because of Mattei, I would like to say that Milano looks sharper. Not better, but sharper.
Of course, you will have to go with Mattei. Of course.
Yeah. But really, I don't know. Piacenza are not permanent. They're not performing. They have ups, they have downs. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, Piacenza is the most erratic team on the Superlega by far. I mean, they lost to Taranto. Then they beat Yashemsky in the first leg of the quarterfinal. Then they went into 2 games where at some point, even the third spot of the ranking, which they have been basically consistently during the past month, was at risk because of this streak where they kept losing a game after another. And at the end, you can never tell what will be the Piacenza you're going to face before the game starts, because despite the names they have, and we all know them, you never know if everything will click. They had 2 great wins at the end of the regular season, the one against LUBE and the one against Modena. So maybe the boost to their moral will be good enough to start on the right foot. But if you're asking me, the biggest problem I see in Piacenza is the setter, because honestly, Blizzard is for the way I think of volleyball, something too, how can I say, unpredictable even for its own players. So it could damage Piacenza gameplay too much. As for Milano, they are where we expected they would have been. I think that when we did the prediction at the beginning, or you did the prediction at the beginning of the season, you would expect Milan to be around 5th or 6th place, not higher. And the difference between the other places in the ranking are a couple of points. So they're where they have to be. Those teams last season reached the semifinal, both of them. So one of them will repeat what they did, and one day they will make it worse. If you're asking me, there's more on stake for not stake for Piacenza, because last year they won the cup. This year they didn't. They suck Botti to get Anastasi, and things are not getting as they were expected. So I don't even know how will end the season for Piacenza if they're not going through this round. But I can't see a reason to pick a favorite in this matchup.
Ronnie?
Yeah, despite how much I want to see Simon winning something this year, I don't think Piacenza is a team that can win titles this season. And it will be the first season that Simon doesn't win anything in a club level. Since he debuted in 2012 for Piacenza, of course, all their management, he has been winning year after year at least one title, and they failed miserably in the Champions League with a poor performance in Weigel, which for me was very embarrassment to see. But yeah, Milano, if Matei is healthy, because he hasn't been playing the last games, maybe he's trying to get a good shape for the players. Who knows? If Milano can have Matei, and they have a good block defense of the net, they really can have a shot. Of course, Ishikawa hasn't been flawless. Another player that played a lot in the summer, got very tired. He suffered from injury. All the Japanese overall had been with physical problems. And of course, they are short. They need to jump higher to make a statement, and this is what happened. So let's see, very, very interesting series, as Nicola mentioned. But even with those problems, I think knowing that Piacenza will have the core advantage because they finished third, I think, I see them going through, despite what people might think. Yeah, I think Piacenza have this. Of course, next round for Piacenza will be the end, because Perugia will not lose against this team. This is a team that doesn't have good reserve players either, and those who have to take the responsibility into their hands are very old. Simon is not the same as he was 2 seasons ago. Leal, let's not talk about it. Lucarelli always have been more a complete player only in the national team. I never get tired to say this, but he's a Brazilian. If he wants to be more the hero at international competition than include ones. And of course, Brizard, as almost every French player after Tokyo, have been disconnected from reality. And sometimes he plays good, sometimes he plays bad. I don't know if Nicola agrees, but Scanferla either has been the second libero that Italy needs for me, but also didn't have a great season either. So let's see. Is this Scanferla? Yes, the libero of Piacenza. Yeah. And for the other middle blocker, Kaneshi, Russo. Kaneshi, I think, will be improved club next season. He earned it. But yeah, besides that, what Piacenza had in the bench. And I didn't talk about Romano. Piacenza only have Recine to go with, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the other Italian opposite, which Gironi, yeah. That's are the two changes that Anastasi have. Besides that, it's hard. Milano also don't have many players that they can rely on. Mergarejo, which have been mediocre this season, and he's Cuban, so I know how to criticize a player of my country. But yeah, that's all.
By the way,
for me, Piacenza in 4 or 5, something like that.
When the season started and we did a podcast, I told you that for me Regers is the better opposite than Dirlitz, and actually that's what happened. So my prediction was right. However, I would like to end this podcast with a little bit of a provocation, and this is the title I wrote. What I mean is, Project Warszawa beat Monza in the final of the Challenge Cup, and Jarzewski Węgiel beat Piacenza in the Champions League. It's very probable, if not sure, that Italy will face Poland also in the Champions League final, because I would say that Jarzewski is a very big favorite against Ziradbank in the semi-final of the Champions League, and the other team will be Italian for sure, Trento or LUBE. So, do you believe that in some way it is not that sure now that Superlega is the best league?
For me, I think circumstances have given the advantage to Plusliga this year, as always. Perugia didn't want to participate in any of those competitions, because I think Perugia against Project, I think the Italians have the advantage there.
Yeah.
But of course, Jablonski Wiggle against Piacenza. I mean, come on! He's the leader of the Plusliga against maybe the 4th or 3rd team in Italy. So, and of course, not only the first in the Plusliga, but that team is full of Polish national team members, which, if anyone is asking, they are the best team in the world right now. And the disparity against in these matchups have been very unfair, to say that Poland is a better league than than Plusliga. Of course, you have Sarweche against Milano. Maybe that, but again, the top three teams in Plusliga are better than the fourth, the five, the six, and so on teams of Italy. Nobody questioned that, but the top teams in Italy, I think, in my perspective, are better than the top teams in Plusliga. Of course, if they don't win the Champions League, the polls will come off after me and saying, "You see, what were you saying about this, and this and that?" But yeah, it's a shame that SBERTOLI got injured because I rather prefer that Micheletto wins a Champions League before Marlon Jant than have another Polish team brag about how good is their championship or something like that, So, but it is what it is. I think now JW is more favorite than ever, and if they win, they will all the European competitions this year. Again, no, first time I think they will do this. So yeah, but the two leagues are very close for me. Budget, players, and all of this is because the Polish player have been great. This generation is really good, and of course, when Sisley Treviso were in their prime, we had Italian team being the best of the best. Treviso, Modena, and those early 2000. So yeah, maybe in the next 10 years we see Italian league flourish again because they have a good generation. Porro is coming, not only Paolo but his young brother. Rinaldi have to step up. Micheletto is a reality now. La Via, of course. I hope they don't leave Italy soon because of the money. But yeah, make Italy great again than they already are. That's my take.
I would suggest something different, not to compare the first teams in the one league and the first teams in the other one, but to compare, for example, the teams which are in the 8th or 9th place. Let's say it in this way. So Modena against Oshin, or Cisterna against Scrabble Hatuf, or something like this. So in taking this perspective in order to define which is the better league. But this is, of course, more just to talk about and not something that's serious. Still, Nicola, what do you think?
I've never talked about the Superlega as the best league. I always said that it was the most demanding league, in my opinion, of all of the European leagues, because, as you said, they're probably the middle to lower teams in Poland. Not so good as the middle and lower teams in Italy. So every match played in Superlega probably has more to ask from the player than other matches. This season went so on, and yeah, you left out that Zavierce beaten Milano also in the Czech Cup.
Exactly.
Other than the two losses that you mentioned. Sorry, Alexa was starting based on notification, but yeah, that's a season that smells like treble for the Polish teams, and it probably will happen because I had a huge expectation for Trento. I thought that finally a final between Trento and Jastrzębie will settle the one of the teams that lost the 3 last finals finally would have won. But I think that if Jastrzębie will match up with LUBE, they probably have the upper hands. And Resovia has no problem with Lüleburg in the CV Cup, and Varsavia already won against Monza. So for the moment, they could swap the cup. something that the Italian teams have been doing for years in the 90s and the 2000s. So I would not be particularly mad, and good for the Polish movement and also for, I think, the entire European movement.
Okay, guys, I would say that this was quite enough for this time. I would suggest to make the next podcast after the quarterfinals. That means that we already know who play in the semis, the pairs in the semis. We can also comment on the super finals in the Champions League, because we will have the final there, the finals also in the women's section there too. So yeah, that was quite enough. I would like just to add to thank to all the listeners or spectators that watched this edition of the podcast, this episode of the podcast. I hope really that you are glad with about spending this hour or so with us, talking about volleyball, talking about Italian league, and watch us also the next time too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care.